If you've ever been underestimated, dismissed not for what you've done, but for who you are, you'll understand what I'm about to say. My name's Nathan Cole. I'm 35, and for the past decade, I've worked as a freelance filmmaker based out of Portland. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. I travel where the story takes me. Nature reserves in Patagonia, remote villages in Alaska, disaster zones in the South Pacific, wherever there's a human truth worth capturing. I've built a reputation in a niche few understand. I'm proud of it, but try telling that to my in-laws. From the day I met Helen and Charles Barrett, I knew I was an outsider in their eyes. They weren't overt about it. At first, Helen played the elegant matriarch, all polite smiles and well-timed passive aggression. Charles was colder. Former corporate lawyer, still carries himself like he's in court. To him, if you don't wear a tailored suit to work or have a company-issued parking space, you don't count. Their daughter, Mia, and I met at a photography exhibit downtown. She was working on her master's in environmental science. I was showing a set of stills I'd taken in Iceland. We clicked immediately. Same values, same thirst for meaning over materialism. She loved that I captured stories most people ignored. I loved her ability to challenge everything with compassion. Our relationship grew fast. Marriage followed 2 years later. Mia believed love was enough. I believed it too, until I realized how far her parents were willing to go to keep me out of her life. It started subtly. "So, do you have a retirement plan?" Charles asked the first time we had dinner. "How does one make a living filming things?" Helen added with a soft chuckle. Every holiday after that was more of the same. Veiled jabs, microaggressions, introductions where I was labeled the creative one, never Mia's husband. Still, I stayed civil. For Mia, until Helen handed me a poisoned drink. It happened on her 60th birthday. I had just returned from a 9-day shoot in the Yukon. Wild snowfields, howling wind, barely any sleep. I wanted nothing more than to rest. Mia begged me to come. "Just 2 hours," she said. "Say happy birthday, eat some cake, and we'll leave." I agreed. How could I not? Their estate was buzzing with guests, lawyers, realtors, investment bankers. The kind of people who speak in golf references and hedge fund acronyms. I kept to myself, sipping a ginger ale and waiting for my cue to leave. Dinner came and went. I survived Charles's predictable grilling about income stability and Helen's forced compliments about my cute little projects. Then she said it. I made a special sangria for dessert. My secret recipe, Helen announced with theatrical flair. "Nathan, would you help me bring out the glasses?" Mia gave me a quick smile. She was trying so hard to believe her mother meant well. I followed Helen into the kitchen. That's when I saw it. There were 10 wine glasses on the counter. 8 were on a silver tray. 2 were set aside. One of them had a strange shimmer on the surface, like a film that hadn't dissolved properly. Helen didn't see me enter. She stood with her back to me, holding a tiny dropper bottle, squeezing a few clear drops into one of the glasses. When she turned around, she jolted slightly, then quickly smiled. "This one's for you," she said brightly, handing me the altered glass. "Made it just how you like it." My throat went dry. I said nothing, just took the glass. "Let me help carry the rest." She hesitated, then nodded. Back at the table, I handed out the drinks. When I reached Charles, I gave him the tampered glass. Helen saw it. Her eyes flickered, barely, but I caught it. I didn't touch my own drink. Claimed I had a stomachache from the trip. 40 minutes later, Charles turned pale. Sweat beaded on his forehead. He pushed back from the table without a word and staggered to the bathroom. The sound of vomiting echoed through the hallway. Everyone froze. Helen rose quickly, hand to her chest. "Oh my, Charles, is it the oysters?" Maybe the aioli was off. She looked at me. I looked right back. She knew, and she knew I knew. I didn't react, didn't accuse her. Just cleared the table, played the polite guest. But before we left, I quietly slipped the untouched glass, the one meant for me, into my camera bag. I couldn't sleep that night. I just sat at the kitchen table, staring at the glass. Mia came down at one point. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just wired from the trip." She kissed my head and went back upstairs. The next morning, I drove the glass across town to a lab owned by my old client Marcus, a toxicologist who owed me a favor. "I need this tested," I told him. He raised an eyebrow. Personal or professional? Very personal. He nodded. No more questions. 3 days later, Marcus called. You were right to be suspicious. Benzodiazepine. Low dose, probably to sedate or disorient. Not enough to kill you, but enough to knock you on your ass for a night. I exhaled. Thanks. Can you give me a report? I already emailed it. Nathan, this is serious. You okay? Yeah, but I don't think she expected me to be. I didn't tell Mia yet. She loved her mom. She'd defend her instinctively. I needed more than a lab report. So I started digging, and I found plenty. Helen had prescriptions from 3 different doctors. High dosages, overlapping refill dates. Mia's brother's wife, Lena, told me quietly over coffee that Helen once accidentally dosed her tea when Lena was recovering from surgery. Said it was chamomile, she whispered. I passed out for hours. At Helen's charity circle, rumors have been swirling for years. Jewelry gone missing, hostile mood swings, and still, no one challenged her. She was too poised, too well-connected. I collected everything, prescriptions, gossip, the toxicology report, and put it in a sealed envelope. Then Mia came home one evening, tossing her keys on the counter. Guess what? Mom wants you to take her new headshots. Says she wants a fresh look for the foundation website. I stared at her. Seriously? Yeah. Weird, right? Weird didn't cover it. The next Saturday, I showed up at Helen and Charles's house alone. Camera bag in one hand, envelope in the other. Helen greeted me in full makeup, pearls gleaming. Oh, good. You're on time, she said breezily. Charles is golfing. Before we start, I said, pulling out the envelope, I think you should read this. She opened it. First the lab report, then the prescription records, then a printed copy of an email thread from a pharmacist who had flagged her for doubling up her orders. Her hands trembled. This is ridiculous. It's true. Her eyes narrowed. Why would I drug you? You tell me. She stared at me, jaw clenched. Because you're not good enough for my daughter. You never were. And making me sick would prove that. She didn't answer. I know what you did, I continued calmly. Now you have a choice. You tell Charles the truth. You both back off. No more comments about my career. No more manipulation. Or I go public with this and everything else. She scoffed. Mia would never believe you over her family. Maybe not, but she'll believe this. I tapped the report. And if she doesn't, I'll let your charity board see it. Or the country club. Maybe the local paper. Her face crumbled for just a second, but I saw it. Fear. After that day in Helen's living room, things shifted. She didn't confess. She didn't apologize. But something about her changed. She no longer met my eyes when we were in the same room. She didn't speak unless spoken to. And when she did, it was short, clipped, like a politician being questioned under oath. I hadn't told Mia everything yet. I needed to be careful. What I had wasn't just proof of a single act. It was a crack in the foundation of her entire family. One wrong word, and she might turn on me instead of seeing the truth. Then, something unexpected happened. A small padded envelope arrived at our apartment. No return address. My name printed in neat black ink. Inside, a single USB drive and a yellow sticky note. You should see this. Lena. I closed my studio door, plugged it into my laptop, and opened the only file. It was security footage from Helen and Charles's kitchen. The timestamp matched the night of her birthday dinner. There she was, Helen, tilting the dropper bottle, tapping it into the wine glass I later handed to Charles. Clear as day. Her face, her hands, the bottle. Then came the next clip, several hours later. Helen screaming at Charles. You were supposed to leave it for Nathan. Charles, clutching his stomach, snapped. Then maybe don't keep drugging drinks like a lunatic. I paused the video, sat back. My hands were shaking. Another clip, 2 days after the party. Helen pacing in the living room. We need to accelerate things, she was saying. Mia's too attached to him. Charles, still looking pale, responded, we've been down this road before. She always comes home after we show her what she's missing. She didn't with Thomas, Helen said coldly. Because we moved too late. This time, we plant the seed first. I recognized that name. Thomas. I had heard it once, years ago, in passing. Mia had mentioned an ex-fiancé during a fight. I never asked. Now I did. That evening, while Mia was in the kitchen, I texted her old college roommate, Bethany. I didn't sugarcoat it. What happened between Mia and Thomas? Did her parents do something? Bethany responded almost instantly. They ruined it. Fabricated cheating accusations. Lied to both of them. Even faked a text exchange. It destroyed Mia. Don't tell her I said anything. I sat there for a while, staring at the screen. This wasn't about me. It never had been. This was about control. About Helen and Charles deciding who Mia was allowed to love, and making sure anyone who didn't pass their standards was eliminated. Systematically. I didn't confront Mia. Not yet. I spent the next week doing what I do best, gathering evidence. I tracked down Thomas, who now lived in Seattle. He was hesitant at first, embarrassed, maybe still hurt, but once I told him what happened to me, he agreed to talk. He sent me screenshots of messages he'd saved. One from Helen pretending to be a woman he had cheated with. Another from Charles, implying that Mia was starting to come to her senses. The manipulation was obvious. "You're not the first," Thomas wrote, "but I hope to God you're the last." I reached out to a few more of Mia's old friends. Names I'd heard once or twice in passing, but never met. One of them told me they'd stopped speaking to her after Charles cornered them at a barbecue and accused them of encouraging bad decisions. It always followed the same pattern. Isolation, then sabotage. And now it was happening to me. I compiled everything into a folder on my laptop. Videos, screenshots, prescription records, statements. I wasn't sure what I would do with it, but I wasn't going to keep quiet. Then Lena called. "You need to act," she said. "Soon." "What?" "Because I heard Helen say she's been talking to Mia about reevaluating her marriage. She's planting doubts again, like she did with me, like she did with Thomas." I thanked her, hung up. Then I made a decision. I invited Mia, Lena, and her husband Jason, Mia's brother, to dinner. I didn't tell Mia why. Just said I wanted a quiet night. No in-laws, no pressure. After dessert, I connected my laptop to the TV. "There's something I want you all to see." The room went silent as the first video played. Helen in the kitchen, tampering with the glass. The footage of Charles drinking it. The argument afterward. Mia's face drained of color. Jason's mouth fell open. Then came the recordings of the conversations. Helen and Charles talking about their plan, referencing Thomas, their belief that Mia would come back home after the marriage failed. Finally, I showed Thomas's messages, the screenshots, the old friends' testimonies. When it ended, I didn't say anything. I just looked at Mia. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I didn't want to believe it," she whispered. "You weren't supposed to," I replied. "That was the whole point." Jason sat back, stunned. That's our parents." Lena looked at him gently. "It was us too, Jason. Don't you remember? Your mom told you I had anger issues, that I was manipulative. You believed her." Jason rubbed his temples. "Jesus." Mia looked up at me, eyes bloodshot. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I needed you to see it, to believe it on your own." She nodded, then whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on me." That night, Helen called. Mia put on speaker. "Darling," Helen said sweetly, "your father and I were thinking maybe some time apart for Nathan would give you clarity. Marriage is hard, you know. Sometimes distance helps." "I saw the videos, Mom," Mia said flatly. Silence. "Don't play games. You drug my husband. Whatever he's shown you, it's been manipulated," Helen snapped. "You know Nathan has always resented our family." "We're coming over," Mia interrupted. "Tonight. All of us. You, Dad, me, Nathan, Jason, Lena. We're going to talk. And you're going to listen." Helen's voice trembled. "Don't do this." "No more secrets," Mia said. "No more lies." That night, we arrived at Helen and Charles's house as a group. I brought my camera gear. "What's that for?" Charles asked, trying to sound amused. "I'm documenting the conversation," I said. "For the family archives." Helen tried to shut it down. "This is private." "Yes," I said. "Private family business. And I'm family. You just forgot." For 2 hours, we laid everything out. The video, the lab report, the emails, the years of manipulation. Helen cried, but not from guilt, just from the realization that her control was slipping. Charles denied everything. "You're twisting our words. This is character assassination." "Then sue me," I said calmly. "Please." I'd love to present this in court. Jason stared at them in disbelief. You tried to destroy your daughter's marriage. Again, Lena added quietly. You nearly destroyed ours too. Mia stood, arms crossed. We're done pretending. Done excusing this as protective parenting. You crossed the line. You poisoned someone. Charles's jaw tightened. And if we did, what are you going to do? I reached into my bag and handed him a USB drive. This is everything. You can keep it. But if either of you so much as breathe a word against me again, if I hear that you're trying to manipulate Mia or Jason or Lena or anyone, I send copies to every board you serve on. Every club, every associate, every friend. He said nothing. For the first time since I met him, he didn't have a rebuttal. As we walked out the door, Helen called after us. Mia, I'm still your mother. Mia turned around. I know. That's what makes this so hard. After that night, things didn't magically get better. There were no apologies from Helen or Charles. No long letters of regret. Just silence. And honestly, that was better than the lies. For the first few weeks, Mia barely spoke to her parents. They texted half-hearted check-ins, invitations to brunch, just the three of us, but she ignored most of them. The few times she replied, it was brief and cold. She had seen them clearly now, maybe for the first time. We kept living, breathing, trying to figure out what normal looked like without their shadow hanging over our relationship. Then, one morning, a certified letter arrived. It was from Charles's lawyer. Inside was the deed to the house we'd been renting for the past 4 years. Paid in full, transferred to our names. There was no note, no message, just a single action that spoke louder than all his accusations ever had. I didn't know what to make of it. Mia stared at the papers for a long time, then said, It's not an apology, but it's something. I agreed. Not remorse, just recognition. He couldn't buy us off, and he finally understood that. But maybe, just maybe, he respected us for not folding. A few months later, our lives changed again. Mia was standing in the bathroom one morning, silent, holding something in her hand. I walked in. She looked at me, eyes wide, smiling and terrified all at once. I'm pregnant. And just like that, all the pain and games and manipulation faded to the background. Now we had something bigger to fight for. Something real. A future not just for us, but for someone new. I promised her then, no one will ever use our child the way your parents tried to use you. And I meant it. Helen found out from Mia, who finally agreed to see her for lunch. Neutral ground, public space, no mention of the past. She told her, We're having a baby. Helen cried. Mia didn't. That told me everything I needed to know about where their relationship stood. Still, the invitations started rolling in. Sunday dinners, baby shopping trips, even a request to host the baby shower. We declined most of them, not out of spite, but out of caution. Trust wasn't something they could just reclaim with a catered brunch. But we weren't cruel. Mia still let them be involved, on our terms. Limited visits. No alone time. No backhanded comments. If a line was crossed, the door would close again. Simple. They obeyed. After Eliza was born, named after Mia's grandmother, not Helen, much to her obvious disappointment, we allowed one visit in the hospital. They brought flowers, a pink dress, a handmade quilt with Barrett stitched across the corner. They didn't stay long. They didn't try to give advice or assert control. Helen held Eliza for just a few minutes, under Mia's watchful eye. Charles didn't even ask to hold her. He just looked, quiet, almost reverent. They left without a fight. And for the first time, I realized something. They weren't trying to win us back. They knew that was impossible. They were just trying not to be shut out entirely. Weeks passed, then months. Life settled into its new rhythm. Late-night feedings, photo sessions with baby yawns, Mia napping with Eliza on her chest while I edited videos in the next room. We were happy, not just free of the Barrett's influence, but solid in a way we'd never been before. Then, one day in early December, another package arrived. This time, it was a glossy annual report from Charles's consulting firm. Inside were professional photos, landscapes, portraits, event shots. All mine. He had used my work. No permission request. No message. Just a sticky note on the last page. Hired the best photographer I know. Thought you want a copy. I didn't reply. Neither did Mia. But when she looked at the brochure, she smiled faintly. Maybe he's trying to show respect. Or maybe he's showing off, I replied. Either way, she said, he used your name, not just your photos. I nodded. It wasn't an olive branch. It wasn't a peace treaty. It was something else. A truce, maybe. Not based on love, but on recognition. The baby shower came and went, hosted by Mia's friends instead of her parents. We kept things small and meaningful. No games. No big speeches. Just love. Helen sent a gift, an antique silver rattle passed down through the family. Mia put it on a shelf. We'll give it to her when she's old enough to understand who it came from. I didn't press. That was her call. The months kept rolling. Eliza grew fast. She had my eyes, Mia's smile, and, ironically, Helen's stubborn frown when she didn't get her way. One day, we were sitting on the porch after putting her to bed. The sky was turning pink over the trees. I was editing footage from a conservation piece on salmon habitats. Mia leaned her head on my shoulder. I used to think success was about approval, she said. Getting my parents to say, you did good. You don't anymore. She shook her head. Now I think success is raising a daughter who never doubts her own worth, who never has to earn love through obedience. I reached over and took her hand. You're already doing that. She smiled. I hope so. That spring, we opened a gallery in Portland. My first solo space. Clean, minimalist, honest. A place to showcase what I loved without compromise. Opening night, we had friends, colleagues, people who'd followed my work for years. Mia stood beside me the whole time, Eliza in a soft wrap on her chest, bouncing lightly as people came and went. Late in the evening, Charles and Helen arrived. They didn't stay long. Helen took a lap, paused at a photo of a mother elephant guarding her calf, and whispered, "That one feels personal." Charles shook my hand, nodded at the photo wall. "You've done well." I nodded. "Thanks." They left without suggesting how I could do it better, without asking about my rates, without offering unsolicited business advice. Just left, like guests, not gatekeepers. As we were locking up, Mia looked around the empty gallery, then at me. "Do you think they've changed?" I thought for a moment. "No," I said honestly. "I think they've learned they can't change us." She smiled. "That's good enough for me." Sometimes people think revenge is about destruction, exposing someone, taking them down, making them suffer. But real revenge? Real revenge is living well. It's building a life that thrives outside the control of people who thought you were beneath them. It's creating something lasting with the person you love, without begging for permission or validation. It's raising a child who never hears the message that love is conditional or earned. Helen and Charles tried to control her story, but I'm a filmmaker, and I tell my own endings. And hey, if this story hit you in any way, if you've ever had to stand up to people who try to control your life, or if you just believe in living on your own terms, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got more stories coming, the kind that remind you it's okay to fight for your peace, your love, and your truth. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.